Hey everybody, Kevin here for Shading Masters, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to shade skin. If you saw the other video, I showed you some areas of where you can really kind of just go overboard or go downhill really quickly if you're not really thinking about it. And in this one I really wanted to show you exactly a well thought out direct approach, and it's actually going to use a different type of shading in this video. So with that, as always, every drawing is going to start with the outline. You want to focus on all the major lines, draw all the shadows and highlights, get them all down so you know exactly where they're going to be before you even approach it, and make sure you use light lines. Now, as you can see in this one, I have all of the shadows and highlights already mapped out on the face. And what I'm doing in this one is I'm using a charcoal pencil for all of the darkest darks and filling them in first. Usually I would use the midtones, as you would see in most of the drawings, and then add the different layers of dark and highlights and erase and go in from that way. But with the nature of the charcoal pencils, they don't really allow for the graphite to work well with them unless they're laid down first, because the graphite is just too smooth and it doesn't really allow the charcoal pencil to grip the paper. It doesn't mix very well. So if you put down the charcoal first, the graphite pencil will really add a lot more depth once it's overlaid with the graphite. So it's a really good mix. If you can start that way, it's not any harder than laying down the middle tones. You really just have to establish all the blacks as gonna be dark black and go from there. So here we go. I'm going through, I'm just filling in. Now I'm using a 6B pencil. I've got all the darkest darks in there, and now I'm just going in and I'm filling in those mid-tones with the 6B pencil, and that's really going to start to already define where the highlights and the shadows are. In this one you can definitely see that the light is coming from the right side of the face, so that makes it very easy to depict the form and shape of the face itself. And then once I had that down, as you can see, I blend it all in, and then that's what really builds up those middle tones. And with the charcoal, it blends a lot easier, so it's gonna be you have to kind of watch yourself with that, because it blends a lot darker than any other graphite pencil would. So you have to kind of be aware of that whenever you're going in there, otherwise you'll have a very dark area when you didn't really mean to do that. So in here I'm just kind of working with that charcoal, blending it into the 6B graphite, and it's really giving it a nice smooth tone texture already, and I haven't even really done much at all. So now I'm just kind of going in, blending, building those gradients. That's really what the face is going to be about, is building up smooth, continuous gradients and really defining where the shadows and the highlights are on that form. And as you can see already, the charcoal really does create a nice smooth texture, and it blends very well with the graphite. It's just that layering process you have to be aware of. So now that I have that base tone established, I'm going in and I'm lifting up those highlights using the kneaded eraser, and I'm just lightly dabbing. I'm even twisting. As you twist it, and it'll create a nice, it's almost combining that circle effect with the eraser, and it's lifting it in little circles, which really gives it a nice organic look and feel, as you can see here. And the more you twist it, and then you can just it doesn't really lift it evenly, which is really what you're after with that, and it twists all of the graphite and charcoal, and it blends it together in a way that is just impossible to do any other way besides this. And using this method, you can actually go in, pull out that reflected light from the shadows, which if you've gone through section 2 on learning light, you'll know that reflected light can bounce back into the shadows, and that really gives it a lot more depth and realism than just having a flat plane. So now I'm going ahead with the 6B pencil again, just kind of filling in, cleaning up the lines, making them a little more defined, and just kind of going in and filling in all those little extra details now that I have that base tone down. And again, all I'm doing is filling it in, blending it, filling, blending, details, blending. I'm just constantly repeating that process, just going through every single pass, layer and layer and layer, until I finally get that image that I'm looking for. And if what I'm doing now is you can see I'm just using, once I have all of that base tone established, a 2B pencil, really a dull 2B pencil. You want to be, whenever you're doing shading, again, you want to make sure you're using a dull pencil, because it'll blend all of those tones together a lot easier for you, and it'll go onto the paper a lot smoother. So right now I'm using the 2B pencil, and I'm just going in really lightly, filling in all of those middle gradient tones that didn't come through or got erased a little too much, and it's really starting to build that depth into the face and the skin. And you can use it to even define a little bit more, and it's really a great way to get all of those extra little details, that those little nuances of light that shine through, that you otherwise would be a little harder to get if you were just using one type of pencil or charcoal, or even lifting for that matter. And as you can see, that's all I'm doing right now. I basically have everything done. I'm just going and doing all of those finishing touches, having the eraser lift where it's a little too heavy, going in with the 2B, giving it that nice tone, blending it very well, and then it's just filling in all those little extra details, that little nuances of the skin and the light as they bounce off the face. You know, and that's all there is to it. There's really not much more. But besides that, once you get the established tones, you kind of want to keep referencing back and forth just to make sure that you're in the same areas of value as your darkest and your lightest. You want to keep that relationship the same, but throughout the entire image, you just constantly keep going back and forth to the darks and lights, keeping the relationship, looking, adjusting, looking and adjusting, and then just keep going through and creating those gradients and layers, and just make sure that that consistency is there, and you'll be perfectly fine. So again, with some key tips, use circles to create those textures, blend those smooth using a tissue, and that kneaded eraser is really going to come in handy for editing or uplifting those different textures and tones. And then again, I just repeat that over and over until the image is until I have a satisfied image, and that's really the key to getting that realism and keeping it and getting all of those different nuances of depth and value and texture in there. And there you go. Completed drawing, and it looks pretty solid for just a quick sketch. So that's all you really needed to do, and again, I hope that it gives you a good strategy and approach to really tackle your images, especially those skin tones, which I know a lot of people look at and really want to get into drawing. So what you can do now is go ahead, download those face images in the resources section, and practice using those techniques that I showed you in this video. They're always going to be there, and they're always consistent. They don't really change. And remember, always keep it simple and always be learning.